And we're back. Normally this would be Leah saying these things, but she somehow got a little paranoid during that last film and decided that she needed to go and cool down. So I'm just going to introduce the director of Paranoid, this fabulous film we just watched, Jay Holben. Jay began his directing career at the ripe age of 7 while stalking the streets and backyards of his Scottsdale, Arizona neighborhood with an 8mm camera. At a very early age, Jay realized the key to being a strong director was to understand the jobs of everyone else on the set. Often finding himself in unique, hyphenate positions on low-budget productions, Paranoid marks a return to his favorite hyphenate of director-cinematographer. When he's not behind the camera, Jay often takes to the open waters behind the helm of a sailboat. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Holben, Norm Coyne.
Hey, Jay. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Norm. It's going all right. You hear me?
Awesome.
Okay?
This was fucking unreal. I absolutely loved it. So good, man. Honestly, like, I was watching it and I'm like, there's so much detail in everything in this film, right? Like the set deck, the lighting, the score is amazing. And then looking at your IMDb, obviously, I mean, you've been in pretty well almost like every position at some point or another, all the way from like gaffer, grip, like everything like that. Like, obviously, your process is very much like it says, like the understanding of like everything and how all the elements fit together. When you chose this, like, tell me a little bit about the background behind choosing Paranoid to adapt.
I think Paranoid chose me, really. It was something that always stood out to me. I was a big King fan. And when I was in high school, I competed with speech and theater. And I had performed Paranoid and always loved it. And when I was in my very short stint in film school, I did an adaptation of it on 8mm that almost no one has ever seen. And then I was producing a number of projects back to back, and I had this small window of time to actually direct something myself. And Paranoid came back into mind, and I said, I want to try to jump back in and remake this in a professional sense.
And that was fairly early in your filmmaking career then, when you actually, I mean, obviously you've been doing it since you're 7 years old, as we heard. But I mean, where are you at that point in your career? What else were you doing? Like, were you just kind of getting into it, or?
I was mostly working professionally as a cinematographer and a chief lighting technician at Gaffer at the time, and producing. I was doing a lot of producing. Actually, that's how I made the transition from being a gaffer to cinematographer, is that I produced films that I could shoot. So I sort of produced and made my reel that way.
Great.
But that's mostly what I was doing around that time.
And were you able to, I thought I saw somewhere online that you actually were able to release it for a short while. Is that true?
Yeah, I was extremely lucky that I sent it out to Stephen and it hit him at the perfect time. And he had just arrived in Florida and he watched it and he called me. And
Wow.
We had a great conversation, and he said, you made a great film. And in that conversation, the internet was still kind of new at that time. And so I said, hey, can I put this online? And he said, sure, absolutely. And then his lawyers found out about that. And they said, no, and I got this letter from Art Green that said, no. Well, okay, Stephen said, okay, so you can do it for 8 months. And that's what, I was allowed to do. It came out online on my website and then also on iFilm, which, if anybody's old enough to remember, that was sort of the thing for short films at the time. And then Stephen gave me special permission to put it on a DVD along with Total Movie Magazine. So there's about 30,000 copies of that out there.
Huh.
And he's been incredibly supportive, much more than I ever deserved, and I could never thank him enough.
And have you seen him or talked to him since all that happened?
We've corresponded a few times. I had sent him some additional work that I did, and kept saying that I would like to do something else. And we talked about a couple of things. I even tried to get Gerald's game from him at one time, but he
Wow.
wasn't ready to let it go. And other than being supportive, and he had actually submitted my name to be one of the directors of Nightmares and Dreamscapes, but they went with much higher, well-known directors than myself, so that didn't work out. But I was really flattered that he did that.
That's amazing. That is awesome. Like that I think is like one of the most profound touches that we've seen from the filmmakers that we've been speaking to. You've actually been in direct contact. He's phoned you and everything like that. That's pretty amazing. And honestly, I believe it wholeheartedly because of like the quality of that film is amazing. James, do we have anything from Twitter?
Well, yes, actually, we have a haiku from our friends at Derry Public Radio. And this is what they've had to say about Paranoid. Get out of my head. You can't face the faceless. I stay trapped inside. We give Paranoid 5 out of 5 blue chambray shirts. Yay!
And this is this one's even more particularly relevant because it's a poem about a poem adaptation, really, right?
Very, very clever. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect.
That's awesome. James, do you have any questions?
Well, I do, but before I do that, I just wanted to point out that I'm watching the YouTube chat right now, and one of the things that I find so impactful about the film that you've made is people talking about their own experiences with these kind of phobias, and they're really seeming to open up and also appreciate kind of the nature of how you were able to capture the feelings of that woman who's going through this bout of paranoia. So I just wanted to let you know that in case you hadn't seen them. There are some really lovely and very touching comments that are happening right now based on what these people have seen.
Yeah, the chat
That's
is
wonderful to hear.
gold.
Yeah.
Hey, like if you get a chance to go through, you're getting so much praise. I mean, obviously you've probably gotten lots of praise for this project anyways, but it's pretty awesome that for me is one of the greatest things about this festival is it's so open and people can really see it all play out, right? So
Absolutely.
That's very cool. Much appreciated.
right on. What are our standards? I'm like, it's been a while now since I've been on here.
Yes, it has.
So, because you'd already spoken about Gerald's game, would be that's your dream project for Stephen King project?
It was for a very long time. You know that, and I know The Long Walk has been mentioned, and of course the Dark Tower series, all of which other people have snagged already. There isn't anything really available other than maybe Rage, but I know Stephen will never let that go.
And so, at what point in your life were you actually first drawn into Stephen King stories?
My brother, when I was in junior high, I think, gave me a copy of Thinner.
Wow.
And I was blown away by it. It was like I'd never read anything like it. And very quickly thereafter, I think Night Shift was the second thing that I'd read, and then Skeleton Crew, and then I wound up picking up the Bachman books, and I was reading all these short works, and then It. And I was just locked into King. The bookshelf behind me, this is all Stephen King.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
So I'm a diehard reader.
Right on. And what are you working on right now?
Oh man, that's a complicated question.
We like
we
complicate questions for complicated answers.
I'm actually in post-production on a project right now. I stepped out of the edit session to come in and do this. It's a demo film for a new product. We went out and shot my homage to James Cameron's Aliens. I'm really excited about that. I have a relatively large project coming up with the American Society of Cinematographers, and then a couple of features and developments. So if anybody has a big bag of cash out there and want to talk, drop me a line.
That's amazing.
For sure. I think too. We have an interesting situation here. I mean, situation sounds wrong. We have an interesting opportunity here because we have now back-to-back filmmakers. We just spoke with James Cole, and of course, he mentions you. He mentions you quite fondly, and so we have a situation now where have two Dollar Baby filmmakers who have actually worked together on another project. James mentions in his biography that he had an autobiographical dramatic short called The Night Before that you directed. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen Jones wrote a book about Stephen King films that he included Paranoid in, and I was invited to be at a book signing for that book, and James Cole came, and I knew James a little bit prior to that through the Dollar Baby connection. And he said, "Hey, what are you doing next?" And I said, "I'm looking for a short. Do you happen to have something?" And he said, "Yeah, I have this short story." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. Yeah, let me read this thing." And I was blown away by it. It was emotional. I was touched. It was this incredible story of these kids in the hospital just before surgery. And I said, "This is it. I have to make this film." And we spent a couple of months, I think, making an adaptation of this short story into a script, kind of bounced drafts back and forth, and went and made this film that I'm ridiculously proud of. It's had an incredible life for many years, helping in pediatric nursing training and in helping as a charitable fundraiser for the birth defect that is depicted in the film. It was really an extraordinary experience to work with Jim on this and to help tell this story.
And is it available? I mean, obviously it's had a life, as you say, but I mean, is it available for us to access and watch?
Absolutely it is. You can buy a copy of it on Amazon.com.
Oh, hey, that's great. Well, we'll definitely tweet out the Amazon link to that for sure.
Sure. But yeah, it's online on the YouTubes.
Fantastic.
Right on.
It's called The Night Before.
The Night Before. Do you have any Twitters? Great. And so these days, like, obviously, where can people find you? These people who have these big bags of cash, where are they going to be able to find you?
I'm mostly haunting around the Instagrams, and that's at Jay Holben on Instagram, or you can hit my website, which is jayholben.com. I'm not very unique in these names. My Twitter handle is Jay Holben. It's pretty boring, but you can find me on most of these places.
Have you ever run into any other Jay Holbens? I'm Norm Coyne, that's all mine are Norm Coyne, and I've never run into another one.
There is one other one haunting out there. There's a couple of Holbens out there, but no, we've never connected.
Leah, do we have anything else on Twitter for Jay?
Just a lot of love, basically. Lots of really nice things that people have said. This film really captured the spirit of the poem. Excellent. I'm loving it. Been with you guys since last night. I love all you diehards. This is awesome. No questions. This is just a badass film. And shout out to James for keeping my seat warm for me.
Yay, James. Right on. I appreciate it, everybody. What you guys have done here is great. You run this thing so smooth and so great. And it's been really fun to see the filmmakers and see these films come back.
Yeah, it's been such a great opportunity for us, honestly, and we get to connect with folks. Everybody's got their own stories, right? I mean, obviously, this is a festival of stories, but everybody's got their own connections, and it's super fascinating to me to see that there's such a broad spectrum of, like, Thinner. I think this is the first time that we've heard Thinner was the gateway into King, right? Like we've heard a lot of like kind of the short stories and all that kind of stuff, but it's been really awesome just to be a part of this. It's really profound.
It really is. And
very much so.
Everybody at home is having such a fun time too, and that's what adds more value to what we're doing is by all the people that are chiming in on Twitter, in the YouTube chat, and we've heard nothing but great things, and people are just so kind.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Definitely.
For a long time, I made great effort to connect with all of the Dollar Babies until the numbers started just growing and growing and growing, and it kind of became too much. So now I rely on like Vern and Tony to be my gateway to the dollar babies, but I've made some really great connections over the years and some great filmmakers.
You know what? It's for us too. Like, I mean, like we released The Doctor's Case. We took it out on the festival circuit back when you could actually go to festivals, like real festivals. Not that this is a real festival. Festivals in person.
In person.
Yeah, in-person festivals.
Yeah.
And it was really cool along the way connecting with the other dollar babies. And there is a very, very robust community, right? Like everybody wants to connect with each other and even like, I guess, what time is Bev Vincent on? At 4 o'clock?
At 4 o'clock.
So yeah, our next interview. Have you met Bev Vincent before?
Only through email and online. We've corresponded before, but not in person.
Yeah, so we were lucky enough. We connected with him. I missed him. I was actually in Houston screening The Doctor's Case at a Comic-Con, and we'd missed each other. And he'd reached out saying, "Oh, I didn't realize your film was playing at this Comic-Con. Maybe you could send me a copy." We sent him a copy. He liked it. We started talking more, and then we're in Prince George, Canada, and we brought him out to a Comic-Con that I actually own called Northern Fan Con. And so we actually had a chance to just hang out with him for like 3 days, and it was just remarkable. And he's such an interesting guy. So, but I mean, like that's that thing, right? It's like everybody's got this kind of. We've been in the trenches of the dollar baby process, and you're promoting your project, and you have that. I don't know. It's like part of a real sense of community. So, but
And you know what? He's
incredibly
been a big
supportive
supporter.
and tight-knit.
absolutely.
Oh, I was just going to say, Bev's been like tweeting along, retweeting everything for us. He's stoked to get on here with us soon.
Totally. So I guess we will.
We got a couple minutes.
Yeah,
still.
we still got a couple minutes. Anything that you want to say to the viewers, to the audience, to the attendees, to the other filmmakers?
Well, to all the other filmmakers, I mean, it's wonderful to be part of this community. It's always been a deep honor to me to be part of the King community and how well that is embraced. I've been treated wonderfully by King fans and other filmmakers alike. So it's like you were saying, it's an incredible support group of filmmakers and this little community which is growing actually, of dollar babies.
Absolutely.
No.
Now we're
I
just
was
teasing
lucky
out
enough to be
time.
at that turning point.
You know what? It's funny though, because like yours, like Paranoid's a little bit shorter than like it seems like the average is around 15 minutes, right? Except for the longer ones, and so we're always allotting that extra time. And now I'm kind of feel like I'm just keeping this dude online for like.
Oh, great! So this is the stall moment. Is that what you're saying?
Right? So what else are you doing?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, let's hear a little bit about sailing. You got a boat, obviously. What kind of boat you got?
I don't. I belong to a yacht club that has their own fleets.
Oh, wow.
I generally sail 42-foot, 45-foot sloops.
You ever film anything about sailing?
I did once. I was part of a collective called Group 101, which was a group of directors that made a short film every month for 6 months. And so I went out and shot a 12-minute short film called Turbulent Sea on a boat in the course of a day. And that was a hell of a challenge.
Wow, I imagine. So actually, we got some questions coming in now. There's a lot of comments about your bookshelf. And there's a gal asking, this is, I hope it's a gal. Jody Beauchamp says, what is your favorite Stephen King book?
Yeah, oh, man. I was about to say Long Walk, but it certainly ranks up there, and so does Drawing of the Three.
Right on.
So it'd be a really tough call between those.
And then we've got another question. See, now people are chiming in on their questions right now, and we're running out of time.
That's okay.
Which is hilarious.
We've got like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Pick what's best.
The actress. There's some questions about the actress. Can you tell us a little bit about the gal who played the lead in this, in Paranoid?
Yeah, Tanya Ivey. I was teaching technical theater at a high school and she was one of the students there, and we had bonded. And she was, when I decided to do this film and I decided to cast a woman in it, she was absolutely the first one that I thought of, and I was so excited that she was willing and interested to do this. And she was, to me, just flawless. I mean, she was incredibly easy to direct and just pulled out exactly what I wanted out of this.
It was breathtaking. This honestly, this has been one of my very favorites. So hats off to you.
Thank you. That's incredibly sweet. I think it's a lie, but it's incredibly
I
sweet.
saw the look on your face.
No,
that's
no,
like, this
honestly,
guy's bullshitting me. I saw that moment.
I
just go,
swear to God, So as we were watching it, like James, I was like, man, there's so much detail in this, right? Like the lighting, even like the way that the books are set, like the set deck, the performance, like the score. I thought it was really great. No bullshit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, the main body of it was shot in the course of a day, but all of the inserts and cutaways and all the black and white work was shot each night as I was shooting all day long. I would come home, bring all the gear into my place, and I would shoot a couple of inserts before I went to sleep, and then reloaded and went out to shoot again on a totally different project all day long, and then come back and do it again. And I did that over the course of a week.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So again, guys, thank you
Thank
so
you
much for
so
putting this thing
much.
together. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us. I think that's we got time now.
We've got time now.
I hate to cut you off, Jay, but we're gonna have to let you go.
If only we didn't talk about sailing, like there could have been more.
Honestly, thank you so much, buddy.
Absolutely. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank
Cheers.
you, you too.